share of the electorate can be drawn without significant investment or effort by the campaign. Due to the winner-take-all method that most states use to determine their presidential electorates, candidates often campaign only in competitive states, which is why a selected group of states presently receives a majority of the administrative and candidate visits. The battleground may change in certain electoral cycles and may be reflected in overall polling demographics and the ideological appeal of the nominees. Background: in American presidential elections, each state is free to decide the method by which its electors to the electoral college will be chosen. To increase its voting power in the electoral college system, every state, with the exception of Maine and Nebraska, has adopted a winner-take-all system, where the candidate who wins the most popular votes in a state wins all of that state's electoral votes. The expectation was that the candidate would look after the interests of the states with the most electoral votes. However, in practice, most voters tend not to change party allegiance from one election to the next, leading presidential candidates to concentrate their limited time the resource campaigning in those states that they believe they can swing towards them or stop states from swimming away from them, and not to spend time or resources in states they expect to win or lose. Because of the electoral system, the campaigning are less connected with increasing the candidate's national popular vote, tending instead to concentrate on the popular vote only in those states which will provide the electoral votes. It needs to win the election, as many successful candidates have lost the popular vote but won the electoral college. In past electoral results, Republican candidates would have expected to easily win most of the mountain states and Great Plains, such as Idaho, Wyoming, the Dakota, Montana, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Nebraska. Most of the South, including Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Connecticut, South Carolina, Missouri, Texas, and West Virginia, as well as Alaska. Democrats usually take the mid-Atlantic states including New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, and Delaware, New England, particularly Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. The West Coast states of California, Oregon, Washington, Hawaii, and the southwestern state of Colorado and New Mexico, as well as the Great Lakes states of Illinois and Minnesota. However, some states that consistently vote for one party at the presidential level ultimately elected the governor of the opposite party. This is currently the case in Vermont and Virginia, which have Republican governors, as well as in Kentucky and Kansas, which currently have Democratic governors. Even in presidential election years, votes may split presidential and gubernatorial tickets. In 2020, this occurred in Vermont and New Hampshire, which elected Republican governors, even as Democrat Joe Biden won both states, while North Carolina elected a Democratic governor, despite also voting for Republican Donald Trump. In Maine and Nebraska, the appointment of electoral votes parallel that at U.S. senators and representative to electoral votes go to the candidate who wins the majority of the vote statewide, and the candidate gets an additional electoral vote for each Congress district in which they receive a plurality. Both of these states have relatively few electoral votes, a total of 4 and 5 respectively. Nebraska has split its votes since 1992 and Maine has done by since 1972. Each state has split its electoral votes only twice since implementation. In 2088, when Nebraska gave 4 votes to Republican John McCain and 1 to Democratic Barack Obama, and in 2020 when Nebraska gave 4 votes to Donald Trump and 1 to Joe Biden. In 2016 and 2020, Donald Trump won 1 vote in Maine, while Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden both were awarded 3 respectively. Competitive status. States where the election has a close result become less meaningful in landslide elections. Instead, states which vote similarly to the national vote proportion are more likely to appear as the close states. For example, the states in the 1984 election with the tainted result were Minnesota and Massachusetts. A campaign strongly concerned on them, however, would not have been meaningful in the Electoral College as Democratic nominee Walter Mandel required victories in many more states than Massachusetts, and Republican Ronald Reagan still would have won by a large margin. Instead, the tipping point state that year was Michigan, as it gave Reagan the decisive electoral votes. The difference in Michigan was 19 percentage points, similar to Reagan's national margin of 18%. Michigan would have been more relevant to the election result had the election been closer. Similarly, Barack Obama's narrow victory in Indiana in the 2008 election improved proven its status as a battleground. Obama lost Indiana by more than 10 percentage points in the closer 2012 election, but repeat anyway as Indiana's electoral votes were not directly needed for a coalition of 270 votes. The same scenario was with Missouri, where John McCain narrowly won by 4,000 votes in the 2008 election, but was won by Mitt Romney by nearly 10 points in 2012 election, indicating its GOP trend. Other lightly Republican-leaning states such as North Carolina and Arizona were more Democratic pickups in 2020. In 2012, the states of North Carolina, Florida, Ohio, and Virginia were decided by a margin of less than 5%. However, none of them were considered the tipping point state, as Romney would not have been able to defeat Obama even if he had evident victories in all them. Instead, Virginia was most in step with the rest of the country. Virginians vote for Obama by just under 4 points, almost the exact same as the nation. Had the election come out closer, Romney's path to victory would probably have involved also winning Wisconsin, Nevada, New Hampshire, or Iowa, as 3 states had comparable margins to Colorado and had been battleground during the election. As many mathematical analysts have noted, however, the state voting in a fashion more similar to that of the nation as a whole is not necessarily the tipping point. For example, if a candidate wins only a few states but does so by a wide margin, while the other candidates' victories are much closer, the popular vote would likely favor the former. However, although the vast majority of the states lean to the later candidate in comparison to the entry country, many of them would end up having voted for the loser in greater numbers than did the tipping point states. The presidential election in 2016 was a notable example, as it featured one of the largest historical disparities between the electoral college and popular vote. Additionally, this split in votes was much larger in both directions than in provincial elections, such as the 2000 election. In that election, Vice President Al Gore won the popular vote by less than 1%, while incoming President George W. Bush won the Electoral College by only 5 votes. In 2016, Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by over certain percentage point. This means that Donald Trump would have picked up New Hampshire, Nevada, and Minnesota if the popular vote had been tied, assuming a uniform shift among the battleground states. On the other hand, Clinton would have had to win the popular vote by at least 3 points to win Electoral College, as Trump, the Republican nominee, won the triple point state of Wisconsin by less than 1%. In 2020, Joe Biden won the popular vote by over 4 percentage points but won the triple point state of Pennsylvania by only 1%. This shows Donald Trump could win the election even if he lost the popular vote by over 3% and would have picked up Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin with the uniform shift among the states. Swing states have generally changed over time. For instance, the swing states of Ohio, Connecticut, Indiana, New Jersey, and New York were key to outcome of the 1888 election. Likewise, Illinois and Texas were key to the outcome of the 1960 election. Florida and New Hampshire were key in deciding in 2000 election, and Ohio was important during the 2004 election. Ohio has gained its reputation as a regular swing state after 1980 and did not vote against the winner between 1960 and 2020. In fact, only 3 people have won the presidential election without winning Ohio since 19: Franklin D. Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, and Joe Biden. Areas considered battleground in 2020 election were Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Maine, Second Congress District, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, Second Congress District, Nevada, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Wisconsin, with Florida, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin considered the big 5 most likely to decide the Electoral College. In the end, Joe Biden won Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Minnesota, New York, 2 districts, Nevada, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, while Donald Trump won the ME2, Florida, Iowa, North Carolina, Ohio, and Texas. Campaign strategies are not universal in swing states. Strategical analysis website 538 notes that some swing states such as New Hampshire swing because they have many moderate, independent swing voters, and campaign puts an influence on Persian voters. Consider this as Georgia, which is a swing state because it has a large population of Republican leaning immigrant whites and Democratic leaning black voters, and urban college educated professional thoughts campaign after transition of vote turnout.